Hi and welcome back to another video. If you saw my two last videos, you have seen me make all of these jars filled with barbecue sauce and salsa, and today I'm going to make the enchilada sauce. So some of the clips are the same as from the barbecue sauce because I made all the same day and I smoked a lot of the tomatoes. So these red tomatoes are going into the smoker in a moment, and I will also put some onions and garlic in the smoker as well. And I will do 2 loads in the smoker today just to make enough of the smoked things. So now the first batch is ready to go into the smoker, and I'm using these tin foil things just to make sure that there will not be so many tomato drippings in my smoker, because they will release a lot of water. So this is how my smoker looks, and it's an electric one, and it goes to about 130 degrees Celsius. And these are some of the tomatoes from my freezer that I froze down during the summer, and some chilies as well. So I will just let all of these thaw so that they will release a lot of the moisture and that the sauce won't be too runny. And this is how the the onions and garlic looks after the smoking. And now I'm preparing the next batch, and I will also use a lot of yellow and orange tomatoes. Even though that I want the sauce to be really dark, it doesn't matter that much because I'm putting in a lot of chilies that will make the sauce dark as well. And now the first batch is done smoking, so I can remove all of these and then put in the next batch. And you will see that a lot of the moisture has evaporated and that the tomatoes are darker because of the smoke, and this will just give the sauce so good of a taste. And these are some of the tomatoes that have thawed now, so you can see how much of the moisture that has released. And in the beginning I'll just keep that juice so I can see if I need to add it to the sauce. And these are some of all of those chilies that I bought, the dried chilies. So I have 4 different kinds, and they are all really mild chilies. So I will take a lot of these and put into a bowl and put some water on it, and then they can sit and soften up, so it will be easier to remove the stems and the seeds in them. and they will float to the top, but you can always put a bowl or a plate on top to keep them down into the water. And now I'm preparing some more onions and garlic that I will fry up and put into the sauce. And I will blend up everything before it will go into my big pot, so that the sauce will be really smooth. And when I made the barbecue sauce, I blended it up after the boiling, but this time I will do it before, because the enchilada sauce will be a lot more runny, so it doesn't matter if I blend it up beforehand. And the frying of the onions and garlic will bring out a lot of yummy flavors, and I just put on some olive oil. So these are the other tomatoes that have thawed, and I'm also using some leftover plums and then the smoked garlic. So I'll just put all of these tomatoes into the blender and blend them up, and then transfer them to the big pot that I also use for the barbecue sauce. That is why it's a little dirty still. And I like it to be a really smooth sauce, so that is why I'm using my Vitamix and not a stick blender or immersion blender, something like that. So this is how it looks after the blending, and then just into my 18-liter pot. Now I'm also blending all of the onions and garlic, and I will put in a little of the tomato juice just to make it a little more runny, so that it can blend up nicely. And now all of the chilies are soft as well, so I can remove the stems and the seeds. And I'm trying to do it on my cutting board, but later on I found out that it was much easier to just do it in the bowl and just remove the stems with my fingers and wash out all of the seeds. So that is what I'm going to do in the future. I'm also frying the chilies just for a few minutes before they will go into the blender. And I will not blend all of the chilies at once, just to make sure that it can blend them without it getting too thick, because it will get just like a tomato paste. And I also just put in some of the tomato water, and I will put in some of this vinegar to make it a little more runny. And you will see in a moment just how thick it will get. So that's also why I don't need to add any tomato paste to this dish, or to the sauce. And all of the yellow and orange tomatoes made the sauce really orange, but now that some of the chilies are in, you can really see that the sauce will get nice and dark afterwards. And now all of the blended veggies are in the pot, and it has simmered for a while, so now I'm going to put in all of my spices. And I will start out with some salt and then some oregano, and you can find everything down in the description that I put into this sauce. I also put in some black pepper and some coriander, and I will also put in some cumin, but both these two spices, I don't like them to be overwhelming in the dish, so I'm just putting in slightly less than the recipe normally would call for, because I like it to taste a little of it, but just not too much. I think it's a little like celery, that the taste is really overwhelming, so just to be sure that it's not too cumin-y or coriander-y, I'll just put in a little less, but you can do whatever you like. Maybe you like it really salty, or you like it with a lot of oregano, then you can just put in some more. This is just some erythritol, just to make the sauce a little sweeter. You don't have to put that in, you could also use sugar if you wanted to. And this is just some balsamic vinegar that I will also put in, just to make it a little more acidic. I'm also using some Worcestershire sauce, and this gives it a nice flavor as well. I'm also putting in some paprika and some cinnamon, and I really like cinnamon in a lot of salty dishes. It doesn't have to be in sweet things, so that's why I'm also putting some of this in here. And you could also have fried up all of the spices to bring out some more flavor, but I just didn't do it this time. And then just stir it well and let it simmer for a while, and then I'm ready to put it into my jars. So I already prepped all of them, and now I'm putting my funnel into the first jar, and then I will pour in all of my enchilada sauce. Afterwards I will go to wipe the rims and then put on the lids, and then I will water bath them for about 1.5 hours afterwards. Accordingly to several recipes you would pressure can this, but I live in Denmark and we don't have pressure canners here, so we will water bath everything. And don't be afraid, it's not dangerous at all. The only thing that you have to consider is when you are using it, you will heat it up for at least 10 minutes, and of course you will do that because it's enchilada sauce, so it will go into some enchiladas and into the oven, so it's perfectly safe to do it this way. And because my water bath is so big and my jars are not so tall, I can put in 2 layers, and this is the first layer, and then I'll just put on a dish towel and then put some more jars in there. That's just so that they don't touch each other. And now I'll just put in some more boiling water and some vinegar, and then put on the lid, and then I will boil them for 1.5 hours. Now the first batch is finished, so I'll remove all of those jars, and then I will put in the rest of my jars and boil them for the same amount of time. And this is all for this time. I hope that you enjoyed this video and you can find some inspiration to maybe do some of this next growing season. Use a lot of your own produce for this. And I'll just thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. You can always go and follow us on Instagram as well at Vestas Farm Life, and if you want to, you can leave a nice comment. So this is just all of what I accomplished this day, all of the barbecue sauce, the salsa and the enchilada sauce, so it was a really productive day. But thank you again, bye bye.